Hi everybody, my name is Maren and this is going to be a 1 hour yin class. The music that I picked for today is just called Yin. It's probably all the way down towards the bottom of my playlists. It was the first Yin playlist that I made. So if you would like to play that, great. If you would prefer any other soundtrack, generally speaking, it's best to have more relaxing music without a lot of lyrics, no heavy beats. Also, in terms of the room, you want the room to be not cold, but also not hot. So just regular room temperature. Make sure that you are comfortable in terms of what feels best for you. So 74 might feel cold for some people. I know a lot of people would roll their eyes, but there are times where 74 feels a little bit cold to me. So you really just have to listen to your body. If 80 in the room feels best for you, then go for it. Also, I have a block right here. I suggest a block if you have one. They're really easy to get on Amazon if you don't own one. Or you can use a pillow. You could use any type of prop, a box, an Amazon box if you'd like, anything if you need that extra support. And I will guide you as to where to use those kinds of supports. This yin class will be focusing on mostly hips and some twisting, so good for the spine, the back, and hips. Wonderful. Well, when you get a chance, we're going to begin. We're going to start by counting down for the music. If you want to use the same soundtrack as me, I'll start from 3, count down to 1, then we pause, and then press play. So 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. And when you're ready, we're going to begin in a heart bench. So that's laying on your back. Sometimes 2 blocks is even better for this because you can use the second block as a pillow, or if you have an actual pillow, that works too. Now I'm going to place my block long ways on the mat, and I'm going to sit it right between my shoulder blades and towards my middle back. So you don't want it up high. You want to make sure your hips are on the ground, arms are at your sides, and then let your head rest back. Again, if you have a pillow for under your head, if this is too much of a craning of your neck, just place something directly under your head. Start to settle in here, arriving in this space. What does your body feel like? What does your breath feel like? What does your mind feel like? Notice where you can soften. Are your shoulders lifted up? Are you fidgeting? Maybe there's a muscle holding on to your neck or your shoulders. Use your breath to soften. There's this quote I saw the other day by Amy Poehler, and it says, "It takes years as a woman to unlearn what you have been taught to be sorry about." It's true for men too, in a lot of ways. How have we been conditioned? Where are we not making decisions and just acting on reflex? Well, it's true, women have been taught to say sorry a lot. And it's a terrible practice, and we have to break that awful habit of apologizing for being too strong, for being too loud, for being too anything. Where can you own it just a little bit more and let go of the apologies? Where can your shoulder blades melt closer to the floor? Notice the turning out of your feet as your hips gently roll out towards the sides. When you're ready, slowly roll towards one side to remove the block out from under you and place it off to the side. Remove any other things underneath your body and come all the way down onto your back. With your next inhale, bring your knees in towards your chest and wrap your arms around your shins. Let yourself settle in here, right into Pavana Muktasana. Deep, full breaths throughout this practice. Maybe you start counting meditatively. An inhale to the count of 4. Hold it for a moment at the top. And then an exhale to the count of 4. Think about your breath as an infinity sign. So with your inhales, it loops back towards your exhale and almost seamlessly turns into an exhale. And then your exhale seamlessly, almost imperceptibly, turns back into an inhale. This yin practice is so good for stilling the mind, a moving meditation, but it also is great for getting into the big joints of our bodies. In this case, our hips and our back. Every pose is designed to help organ function. This pose is really good for digestion, belly pain, also our back, because you're rounding your spine right here. Or can you soften a little bit more towards the floor? There are times in a yin class where you might feel uncomfortable and you want to fidget or get out of a pose. I urge you to try to stay and try to use your breath to soften just a little bit more, to melt a little bit more towards the floor, to let go of any muscle engagement that's gripping or squeezing or holding on. And just let it all be as you surrender to the pose. If your knees were close together, maybe you try to open them up a little bit, resting against your forearms. If this is too much for you, you can also just grab behind your legs. And maybe if your knees were out wide, you pull them in closer. Over the next breath or two, you're going to rock up to a seat. If you prefer, you can bring your feet to the mat, drop your knees to the side, and push your way up. Or if you'd rather rock up, just grab your knees and rock up to a seat. They say one of the indicators of really good health and mobility is being able to stand up from a seated position without using your hands. It's just something to keep in mind, that balance, that agility. So from your seat, extend your legs out long. Now you're going to step your right leg across your extended left leg and plant your foot on the floor. Now slowly start to turn your chest. With your exhale, bring your right hand back behind your hip. Inhale, your left fingertips reach up, and then exhale, hook your elbow and twist. Take a peek over your right shoulder, and then start to settle in. Taking that deep twist. Every inhale, think about sitting up just a little bit taller. And then every exhale, maybe you twist just a little bit deeper. Maybe your eyes closed or your gaze softens. And just try to settle into this twist. Making sure you feel the twist in your spine. And try not to round down, slumping your shoulders. Really create space and lift. And then come back to that breath, that meditative, slow, deep breath. Think of your organs like sponges, and every time we take a deep twist, you're pushing old blood out, and when you relieve the twist, new blood comes rushing in. That's true for our organs, but also our big joints. So we're kinking, we have flexion every time we take a pose like this and we hold it. We are stopping the blood flow. And then when we release it, it's like opening up a garden hose that had been kinked. All the blood rushes in towards the joint, towards your organs, lubricating the joints, nourishing and feeding the organs. Notice if you're gripping your jaw. Where can you release it? Is that spot in between your eyebrows wrinkled, furrowed? Try to soften it, smooth it out. Inhale, slowly start to turn back to center. And your left leg, which is the extended leg, start to bend into that knee. You're going to stack both knees on top of each other. This might be a little uncomfortable and it might not look like this, right? Your foot might not be able to completely release down. Your knee might not be able to soften down to the other knee. That's okay. So if this is your shape, that's great. That's amazing. If you can pull your other leg around and stack your knees, that's great too. Now bring your hands to the bottoms of your feet. Inhale, lift your chest, look up. And then exhale, start to hinge forward and fold. Right into cow face pose or shoelace pose. I've heard zipper before. And just let your chest start to come down. It's okay if it doesn't come all the way. Make sure both sit bones are rooted into the floor. So they're sitting down, pushing down into the floor. That means make sure you're not sitting on one of your ankles here. And just surrender forward. You should really feel this, especially on the outside of your right hip, but probably both hips. Opening up. And notice our spine. Again, we're folding over again. So first we had that heart bench where our chest lifted almost into a back bend. Now we are folding forward. Your right leg on top of your left leg. Notice if you're squeezing in one hip, maybe afraid to completely surrender down towards the floor. And that's okay, just notice it, and maybe you can use your breath to soften a little bit more. If you don't feel this pose in your hips, just pull your feet further apart, away from each other. Then you'll really get deeper into the hips. If you would like to, you can walk your hands away from your body. That helps you get deeper into the pose. Maybe you try something else. You can bring your hands back behind you. Try a prayer pose, opening up your shoulders. Any variation that suits you. And remember, all of these poses are suggestions. If something doesn't work for your body, don't do them. If you feel pinpoint pain, back off. But if you feel discomfort, if you feel that deep stretch sensation, that's good. That's your body changing, becoming more open. Try to lean into that feeling, that sensation, rather than gripping and holding back. Because it's that discomfort where opening occurs, where growth happens, where the joint really begins to open and surrender. And slowly start to walk your hands back in. We're going to swing your top leg, which is your right leg, around out to the side just for a moment. Let's just take one little rebound stretch here. Let your hips start to settle in. And then when you're ready, bring that back leg, that right leg back behind you, coming into half pigeon. So your back leg is straight back behind you. Your left leg is in front of you. Maybe your foot is flexed. And then walk your hands in. With your inhale, lift your chest. And then exhale, walk your hands away from you. And start to bring your chest down towards the floor, right into that half pigeon. You can use a block for this pose. If this is just too much sensation, you can bring a block under your left hip, right hip. I'm mirroring here. If that helps, so it feels a little less uncomfortable. Also, it's possible that it might feel better if you bring it underneath your left hip. Just see where it works for you, where you need support. If you prefer to take this on your back in a figure 4, that's great too. So roll onto your back. Bring your right foot to the floor. Your left ankle hooks on top, and then interlace your fingers, bringing your right hand in between your legs. And pull your right thigh towards your body. Use your left elbow to push your left thigh just a little bit more open. Coming into this deep hip opening. Beautiful. You guys are doing great. Notice the urge to fidget. Try to let it go. if you are in pigeon and you don't feel this a lot in your hips, just try to push your foot up towards the top edge of your mat so that your shin is close to parallel to the top of your mat. That will get you deeper into this hip stretch. Slowly start to walk your hands back in. If you are on your back, start to come back over. And then press towards your left hip. So you're rolling onto your left hip. And just open up your legs right into that straddle shape. Now this is another great pose. If you have blocks or pillows, they can really help. So you can bring a block to the middle. I'll show you what it's like without a block also. You can stack pillows on top. And then when we start to fold, you can lean forward and use this as support. Same with if you have got blankets or any kind of support. That's only if you would like it. You also don't need it. So maybe you lean forward. You can have a slight bend in your knees if it helps you get to your feet. You can grab your big toes with your peace sign fingers and start to fold forward. You'll feel this deep opening in your hips and try to surrender. Remember, you can use any kind of support you need. Stacks of pillows, stacks of blankets, blocks. Only if you need. But you can also, if you have nothing to use, just stay here, leaning forward. You will still get that deep inguinal stretch here. You can have your chin to the floor, maybe a cheek. If you had one cheek, turn your head. And bring the other cheek to the mat. we are taught in YTT, that's yoga teacher training, that people often cry in hip openers. And they don't cry because it hurts or the pain, but we carry so much anxiety and stress, so many emotions in our hips, that when we finally open them up in a yoga class, deeply open them, we release all of those pent-up emotions. All of those feelings just open and leave the body. So it's okay if you feel emotional during classes like this, during hip openers, in any situation. It's normal. Try to embrace that feeling of letting go. Two more deep, full, long breaths right here. If your chest is towards the floor, walk your hands in towards your body and lift up, everyone. Slowly lift your chest, and if you had blocks or pillows in front of you, just move them off to the side. Slowly turn towards your right side and bend into your right knee. You're going to swing your left leg back behind you, coming into that half pigeon now with your right leg in front. And just walk your hands in. With your inhale, lift your chest, create space. And then exhale, walk your hands away from you and surrender. Remember, you can use any type of support you need in this pose, a pillow or a block. If you want to take this on your back, slowly roll onto your back and come into that figure 4. So use any prop you need to support you so that it feels deep, deep opening in your hip, but so that it's not hurting. So it's not pinpoint pain. If you're on your back, your right ankle is hooked over your left thigh. You're reaching in between your legs with your right hand and pulling your thigh close to your chest. Maybe you take a slight roll towards your left hip, pressing it down towards the floor. And where can you use your breath to surrender a little bit deeper? that slow, deep, full breathing. I just caught myself holding on to my hip, squeezing my muscles. As soon as you catch it, try to release it. Try to let your body open completely and melt towards the floor. Slowly start to walk your hands in towards your body and lift your chest. So your left leg is back behind you. Your right leg is still out in front. Now start to shift towards your left hip, your right hip, and swing your left leg around. There we go. And just for a moment, hinge forward, little rebound stretch here. Try not to shake it out in between poses. I teach that in regular vinyasa classes too, the shaking it out part. Try to let that go. Instead, take a rebound pose, a rebound stretch, and then slowly start to come back into the next shape. So your right leg is still bent out in front of you. You're going to swing your left leg around, coming into that cow face pose. Now this cow face pose has your left leg on top. Your knees stacked, or maybe they're not stacked, right? You do what's best for your body and what you can do. Bring your hands to the bottoms of your feet. With your inhale, lift your chest, create space. And then exhale, hinge forward, really getting deeply into the outside of your hips, which we just did on the same side. So you're gonna feel this, that's okay. Make sure both sit bones are on the floor, not lifted up on one side. And fold. If you wanna use a pillow here, there's a great opportunity. If this is just a little too deep, you can bring a pillow right on top of your legs to help support you in your fold. Notice if you've lost your breath. Come back to that deep, complete, slow breathing. Notice if you're squeezing your thighs together. Use your breath to release that down. Slowly start to walk your hands back in towards your body. Now you're going to extend your bottom leg, which is your right leg, out long. And bring your left foot to the floor that's crossed over. Awesome. Now you're going to bring your left hand back behind your left hip. Inhale, your right arm reaches up, look up. And then exhale, hook your elbow and twist. Remember, every inhale, think about sitting up taller. Notice if your shoulders are by your ears. Try to pull them down away from your body. And then every exhale, twist just a little bit deeper. Deep inhales and deep exhales. And take a little counter twist. So twist towards the right, just gently. And then step your right leg, your left leg over, lining up your legs. With your inhale, lift your arms up. And then with your exhale, we're going to roll onto our back. If you prefer bringing your hands down and walking them back for some extra support, you can do that. Once you come all the way down onto your back, we're going to come into yogi pancake here. So you might need to readjust onto the mat. Lift your arms up over your head and just roll onto your belly. Awesome. I'll face forward. And so walk your hands in towards your ribs and then bring your forearms down onto the floor. With your inhale, lift your chest up. So you can readjust your hands, your elbows, wherever it feels good. And then maybe you soften your neck. You can let your head dip down, or maybe it just sits on top of your shoulders. Notice if your shoulders are up by your ears. Try to press into the floor and lift your chest. You can always use a support like a pillow under your chest if you'd like, but you're really getting a back bend in here. The tops of your feet are pressing down into the floor gently. And just start to soften your hips towards the mat. If you want a deeper back bend, you can press your palms into the mat and start to straighten your arms right into that seal pose. Otherwise, Sphinx is enough. And just close your eyes or soften your gaze. And try to surrender a little bit more. Notice if you're holding your breath. Come back to the deep, slow inhales and deep, slow exhales. if your elbows are lifted up into seal, slowly bring them back down towards the mat. And then walk your elbows away from you and let your chest drop down all the way. Your right or your left cheek can come to the mat. Maybe you reach your palms back towards your hips, plant your palms down into the mat, and just take a rest. For those of you who like Shavasana on your belly, you're already there. You can even have your palms up if you'd like to relax your shoulders down towards the mat a little bit more. Or you can use your palms as a pillow. If you prefer Shavasana on your back, walk your hands out in front of you, and then start to step your leg back behind you, rolling that yogi pancake, rolling all the way down onto your back. You've made it to Shavasana, whatever pose you are in. Bring your arms slightly away from your body. Again, palms up, maybe to receive the energy of the universe, of the room, or palms down to ground you. This is where we let our bodies and our minds digest everything we just did. This is the dessert portion of our meal here. So just let it all go. Let the apologies go. Let the conditionings just go. I will guide you out of Shavasana when it's time. Let yourself really rest. start to bring some awareness back into the room. Without moving, just notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Notice how your body feels pressing towards the floor. And start to deepen your breath. Invite this moment to check in with your body. What feels different? What feels new? What feels more open? And bring some movement to your fingers, to your toes, maybe your hands, your feet. No matter what position you're in, with your inhale, take a full body stretch. So reach your arms up overhead, point your toes. And if you're on your back with your exhale, bring your knees in towards your chest and wrap your arms around your shins. If you're on your belly, just roll onto one side and come into fetal position. You can use your bicep as a pillow. Give yourself this moment of gratitude. Thank yourself for this practice today. If you're still on your back, roll onto your right or your left side, whatever side you need right here. You are in the side of new beginnings. Where can you stop apologizing? When can you take ownership of just being you? That you're enough, that you're not too much, that you're perfect just the way you are. Because you are. When you're ready, slowly push your way up to a comfortable seat. Eyes stay closed or your gaze softened. Bring your hands to heart center. Let's take a deep, full breath together as a community. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold it at the top. Open your mouth, let it go. You are loved. You are brave. And you are enough. The love and light within me honors and respects the love and light within you. And it is with this love and light that we are all connected. Namaste. Thank you so much, guys. My name is Maren. That was Yin. Got a good hip openers in there. Good back stretching. If you guys have any questions, you can unmute yourself. How does everybody feel? Do you all feel well?